A grandmother and brother killed in a horrific car crash. But finally, some good news for that family. Their puppy who ran away from the crash scene has been found.
A man accused in the shooting of a CHP officer makes his first court appearance. Plus, a crime fighters alert tonight. Why police need your help finding the driver of this SUV.
An active shooter and mass casualty simulation gives second-year medical students realistic experience treating injured patients.
Street lights that never shut off. I'm Shanna Handy. I'll have that story coming up.
And wait until you see the reveal for an inspirational teacher surprised by the helpful Honda guys.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts now.
Tonight, we know the name of the driver who police say was under the influence when he plowed into a minivan, killing 2 people over the weekend and leaving 2 other family members injured. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. As CBS 8's David Gottfredson reports, the family received some much-needed good news today when they were reunited with their missing puppy that had run away from the scene of the accident.
33-year-old Edgar Suarez Espinoza is loaded into an ambulance on Saturday night at the scene of a fatal car crash at Sports Arena Boulevard and Rosecrans Street. Police say Suarez was speeding and driving drunk when he lost control of his Toyota pickup truck, hit the center median, and flew airborne into a Toyota Sienna van carrying 4 family members. 23-year-old Ahmed El Rawi and 81-year-old Swad Al Samare were in the back seat and died at the scene. 2 family members in the front seat were treated for back injuries at the hospital and later released. The driver of the truck suffered broken bones. Now he's in the downtown jail facing 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter, felony DUI charges, and driving without a license. CBS 8 aired a report on Monday saying the family's 6-month-old German Shepherd named Cookie was missing after it ran away from the accident scene on Saturday night. As it turns out, on Sunday morning, employees at the San Diego airport parking lot, 2 blocks east of the crash site, found the puppy cowering underneath a parked car. They took the dog to the Humane Society on Gaines Street, and this morning, family friends picked it up. Veterinarians at the Humane Society examined the dog, gave it x-rays, and although the dog has a slight limp, it was cleared for release.
Hi, Cookie. He's a good boy.
They loaded Cookie into the car and took him back to the family's home in El Cajon. The dog's owner, Abdullah Al Rawi, was overcome with emotion when seeing the dog for the first time since the night of the fatal crash. Abdullah was the driver of the van. He lost his grandmother and older brother in the accident. He and his mother survived the crash, along with Cookie, who was clearly glad to be home. Now, Suarez is being held without bail at the downtown jail. He's set to be arraigned in downtown court tomorrow afternoon.
David, so much tragedy here, but a little bit of good news. How's the family doing at this point? How are the 2 that were injured recovering?
They are out of the hospital. It's really amazing. They have a lot of support with the El Cajon community. People are stopping by their home with condolences. The family also has set up a GoFundMe page. We've posted a link at cbs8.com if you would like to help out the family with funeral expenses.
And we wish them well. Dave Gottfredson, thanks. The man accused of shooting a CHP officer on the 8 freeway pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity just a few hours ago. Yuhao Du entered a double plea, not guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity. His attorney tells us the second plea is related to the prescription medication he's on. Du's mother is a doctor and traveled from China to be here today, and this is what she told us.
What happened must be extremely traumatizing, not just for the officer who got hurt on the line of duty, but also to his family.
这名警官的妻子怀着一个孩子，亲眼目睹丈夫受伤。
It must be heartbreaking for the officer's wife, who's carrying his child under her heart, to go through this.
Du is a graduate student studying at UC San Diego. He's facing attempted murder charges in the shooting of Officer Anthony Pacheco. Young people in San Diego are taking a stand tonight against the possibility that Roe versus Wade may be overturned. Students and advocacy groups came together in University Heights to rally for reproductive rights today. The rally took place at the Eugene Brucker Education Center. It was in part to inform students about resources they will still have access to if Roe v. Wade is overturned and how their reproductive rights will still be protected. Larry Miliette's parents are suing Chula Vista Police tonight, claiming the department violated their civil rights. Larry Miliette, you remember, is accused of killing his wife Maya, who went missing back in January of 2022. The lawsuit claims CVPD trashed the Miliette home while executing a search warrant and assaulted Larry's father, Benito. It also claims officers unlawfully detained Miliette's parents and their 3 children, Larry's 3 children, that is, after picking the children up from school without permission. The lawsuit was filed last Friday. Chula Vista police have not responded. Larry Miliette has pleaded not guilty to murdering Maya. Her body has not been found. His next court appearance is Thursday.
This week, medical students from around the U.S. are receiving valuable training in Kearney Mesa. They're going through mass casualty simulations, learning how to treat patients under stress. CBS 8's Brian White spent the day at Strategic Operations and takes us inside.
As part of this simulation, police officers are on their way responding to a car accident where people happen to be nearby drinking and partying to music. One guy picks up a gas can and tosses it near a bonfire. Police officers arrive on scene with paramedics. They enter a 4-story building where a domestic dispute is happening. Gunshots ring out.
The police come down into the area where the party is, and it's just a mass casualty. There's a number of casualties there.
Medics treating injured patients in the middle of the chaos.
The paramedics have to stop the bleeding and get them into the ambulance.
It's all part of this scenario-based training for a select group of 42 second-year medical students from 3 universities across the country. They've come here for this special training in Kearney Mesa at Strategic Operations, formerly a TV and movie studio for Stu Siegel Productions.
This kind of training under very realistic conditions allows you to inoculate yourself against stress.
These students are being mentored by doctors and surgeons from hospitals around San Diego County.
They're learning how to assess a critically injured patient, to do the immediate life-saving procedures, that is, stop the bleeding, obtain airway, and then find injuries that they can treat.
Cheyenne Wong, a second-year medical student from Rocky Vista University in Utah, learns how to insert a chest tube on a patient brought into their simulated emergency room.
We got some trauma patients in and the chaos started. It's kind of nice to see how we handle the stress.
Medical student Michael Higgum played the role of an injured victim. He says this training will benefit him for the rest of his career.
Having the opportunity to do it with lower stakes so that when we get into a real situation with higher stakes, that we've gone through the process, we've seen these things before, and we're ready to handle them.
At Strategic Operations in Kearney Mesa, I'm Brian White for CBS 8.
Thanks, Brian. San Diego police need your help tonight catching the driver they say hit and seriously hurt a man who was riding a bicycle in Ocean Beach. Police say the 45-year-old victim was crossing Sunset Cliffs Boulevard at around 11:30 yesterday morning when he was hit. The driver briefly stopped before driving away and heading east on Brighton Avenue. This is a look at surveillance footage of the white SUV that police say is responsible. It's also described as a 4-door with silver alloy wheels. There may be damage to the front passenger side. Anyone with information about this vehicle should call San Diego Police or Crime Stoppers at 888-580-8477.
Inflation is center stage tonight in the run-up to the midterm elections. Today, President Biden laid out his plan for relief. Our political reporter, Morgan Reiner, lays out that plan and response from state Republicans.
President Biden said that the American people have 2 paths forward. His Democratic plan, which he believes is already working, and then the Republican plan, which he says stems from the far-right MAGA Republicans.
President Biden said his plan is to get more truckers on the road, increase competition.
We're helping smaller companies get into the game to compete and help bring down the overall prices.
Release oil from the country's stockpile to reduce the cost of gas.
I'm working with Congress to pass landmark investments to help build a clean energy future as well.
Lower taxes for middle-class families while making big corporations pay more.
The Republican plan is to increase taxes on the middle-class families, let billionaires and large companies off the hook.
When asked if his administration takes any responsibility for inflation, the president said the global supply chain disruption due to the pandemic and the war in Ukraine are at fault, and the Republicans in the gridlock Senate are to blame for slowing down solutions.
I think our policies help, not hurt.
California Republican Assembly Leader James Gallagher said both Biden and Governor Newsom own this crisis.
The real path forward is what we propose. Let's cut it for middle-class families right now. Let's cut their gas tax. Let's do a rebate here in California where we have a $68 billion surplus because we've taxed people too much. Give it back to them so they can deal with these high costs that have been caused by the Biden administration.
The former chief economist of Wells Fargo and the U.S. Senate Banking Committee told me there's lots of blame to go around. Fingers can be pointed in part at both the Trump and Biden administrations.
Inflation basically started in 2020 and continued into 2021 on the basis of expansionary or fiscal policy. In other words, the federal government spent a lot of money.
The good news, he believes we could be at the peak of inflation right now.
So far, it's being totally ignored, and people are saying, well, inflation's high. Yeah, it's high, but it's going down.
While Sylvia said that we are seeing those downward trends with the important indexes, he said it could still be 2 to 3 years before we start seeing the prices go back down to the ones that we like to remember.
Thanks, Morgan.